There's a very specific kind of exhaustion that comes from calculating your survival before you've even brushed your teeth. It's that paycheck-to-paycheck math that makes financial freedom feel like a fairy tale for people who had a head start.
I lived in that math for years. But today, my Mondays look different. I went from pretending that bill doesn't exist to a consistent $5,000 a month passive income stream. No luck, no inheritance, and no $2,000 courses. Just one specific system that you can start for less than the price of a couple of coffees. Let's get into it.
My name is Luis, and I spend way too much time thinking about passive income, cash flow, and why nobody teaches us this stuff in school. If you're someone who's been grinding at a job and feeling like your money disappears the second it hits your bank account, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. All right, let's get into it. Here's the thing. Before I even tell you what I did, I need to fix something first. Because the phrase passive income has been absolutely destroyed by the internet. People hear it and either think it's a scam or believe it means doing nothing and getting paid. Both of those are wrong. Passive income is real, but here's what most people don't realize. It's not passive at the beginning, it's passive at the end. Every single passive income stream requires aggressive work up front. The difference between passive income and a job is that with a job, you stop getting paid the moment you stop showing up. With passive income, you build something once, and it keeps paying you over and over again. Think of it like a vending machine. You gotta buy the machine, find the location, stock it, set it up. That part's work. But once it's running, it generates money while you're doing other things. That's the mental model I need you to carry through this entire video. A study from the Bureau of Labor Statistics found that the average American household spends approximately $61,000 a year after taxes. That works out to about $5,083 a month. So when I say I built a $5,000 a month passive income stream, I'm essentially telling you I replaced the average American's entire monthly expenses. That is the game. That's the finish line we're running toward. Now, you might be thinking, Luis, that sounds great, but I don't have $10,000 sitting around to invest. Good, because I didn't either. And that's actually step one. Step one is what I call the seed fund. And almost nobody talks about this part because it's not sexy. You need to accumulate your first $1,000 of investable capital. Not emergency fund money, not bill money. $1,000 that is specifically designated to start generating income. Here's how I did it. I ran what I call a 30-day financial audit. I pulled up every single subscription, every recurring charge, and every small purchase I made in a month. I'm not exaggerating when I tell you I found $347 a month in spending that added literally zero value to my life. 2 streaming services I barely used, $26. Eating out for lunch instead of bringing food, roughly $240. A gym membership I hadn't used in 2 months, $45. Random impulse buys on Amazon, about $36. The psychology here is something called the latte factor, a concept popularized by David Bach. It's not actually about lattes. It's about how small, mindless, recurring expenses create a slow financial bleed that keeps people stuck. You don't feel each one leaving, but together, they're devastating. Within 3 months of redirecting that spending, I had my first $1,000. No side hustle required for this step, just awareness. Step 2 is where it gets real. I took that initial capital
and split it into two strategies that I ran simultaneously. The first, dividend investing. The second, building a digital asset. Let me break down the dividend side first, because the math here is genuinely eye-opening. I opened a brokerage account and started buying shares of high-yield dividend ETFs. Specifically, I focused on funds with a dividend yield between 4 and 6%. Now look, $1,000 invested at a 5% yield gives you about $50 a year. That's roughly $4 a month. Not exciting. But here's where the compounding psychology kicks in. I committed to adding $300 a month from my redirected spending. After 12 months, I had roughly $4,600 invested, generating around $230 per year in dividends, which I reinvested. It's a snowball. It's slow at the beginning, and then it starts to get a life of its own. According to data from Hartford Funds, reinvested dividends have accounted for 84% of the total return of the S&P 500 since 1960. 84%. The gains most people celebrate, the stock price going up, that's only 16% of the historical story. The real engine is the dividends being reinvested. But I knew dividends alone weren't going to get me to $5,000 a month anytime soon. That's where step two's other half comes in. This is where it gets really interesting. I took part of my initial seed money, about $200, and used it to build a simple digital product. In my case, it was a personal finance spreadsheet toolkit. I know what you're thinking. A spreadsheet? Really? Yes, really. Here's what most people don't realize about digital products. The profit margin is essentially 100% after creation. There's no inventory, no shipping, no manufacturing. You create it once and sell it an unlimited number of times. I listed it on platforms like Gumroad and Etsy Digital Downloads. The first month, I made $67. Not life-changing. But I didn't stop there. I started creating short-form content explaining the financial concepts behind the spreadsheet. I wasn't selling, I was teaching. And every video, every post funneled people back to the product. By month 4, I was doing around $400 a month from that single digital product. By month 8, with 2 additional products added to the lineup, I crossed $1,700 a month. And here's the part that matters. That income came in whether I posted new content that week or not. The older content kept working. The product listings kept selling. That is the vending machine model in action. Now, scaling from $1,700 to $5,000 a month is where most people plateau, because they try to do something brand new instead of doubling down on what's already working. Step 4 is what I call the multiplication framework. It has 3 rules. Rule 1, take your best performing product and create variations. My spreadsheet toolkit became a budgeting bundle, a debt payoff tracker, and an investment calculator. Same audience, more offers. Rule 2, take the income you're generating and funnel a percentage. I did 40%, back into dividend investments. This is where the 2 strategies start feeding each other. The digital product income accelerates your investment portfolio, and the portfolio grows your passive dividend income simultaneously. Rule 3, automate everything possible. I set up email sequences for customers, automated delivery for products, and automatic dividend reinvestment in my brokerage account. By month 14, my digital products were generating roughly $3,100 a month. My dividend portfolio had grown to just over $42,000 and was producing about $175 a month. Combined with some additional interest from a high-yield savings account where I parked my emergency fund at 4.5% APY, I had crossed the $4,000 mark. I hit $5,000 a month at around the 18-month mark. Let me say that again because I want it to sink in. 18 months. Not 18 years. Not after some lucky break. 18 months of consistent, boring, intentional execution.
Now, here's the part nobody puts in these videos. And honestly, it's the most important part. The biggest obstacle to building passive income is not strategy. It's not math. It's your own brain. There's a concept in behavioral economics called hyperbolic discounting. It basically means humans are wired to prefer a small reward right now over a much larger reward later. It's why you'd rather spend $50 on dinner tonight than invest it and have it become $400 in 20 years. Your brain literally fights against wealth building. Knowing that, just being aware of it, gives you power over it. Every time I wanted to quit, every time I looked at my $67 month and felt stupid, I reminded myself of one thing. The people who win at this game are not smarter. They just didn't stop. A report from SCORE found that most small businesses don't become profitable until around 18 to 24 months in. I was right on track the whole time. I just couldn't see it because I was comparing my chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. So let me bring this all together with exactly what you should do this week. Not this month, not when you feel ready, this week. First, run your 30-day financial audit. Pull your bank statements and find your invisible spending. Your goal is to identify at least $200 a month you can redirect. Second, open a brokerage account if you don't already have one. Fund it with whatever you can, even if it's $50. Start buying into a diversified dividend ETF. The important thing is to start the habit. Third, brainstorm one digital product you could create based on a skill or knowledge you already have. You do not need to be an expert. You need to be one step ahead of the person you're helping. A teacher can make lesson plan templates. A fitness person can make workout guides. A cook can make meal prep planners. The options are literally endless. Fourth, commit to 90 days before you judge the results. Not 30, 90. That is the minimum effective time frame for any of this to show real traction. Look, I know this video was a lot, but I also know that the difference between people who build real financial freedom and people who just watch videos about it comes down to one thing: action. Not perfect action, not massive action, just starting. 3 years ago, I was doing mental math before my feet hit the floor, stressed about bills, feeling like the system was rigged against me. Honestly, parts of the system are rigged against you, but that's exactly why you have to build your own system. One that works for you 24 hours a day, even when you're asleep. If you got value from this video, subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, because I break down strategies like this every single week. Drop a comment below and tell me which step you're starting with this week. I read every single one. And if you want to see how I structure my actual dividend portfolio, I made a full breakdown video. I'll see you in the next one.